Welcome, my beautiful souls, and welcome to another special reading. We are going to do a twin flame reading, and I'm doing it a little different than I normally do it. Normally, I break down like the divine masculine on one side, the divine feminine on the other, and connect them in the middle. And I'm still going to do that. But I want to remind a lot of you in this twin flame journey that we just went through the 7-7 portal. And from all the research I've done, I feel like everything was talking about twin flames and the potential of twin flames truly coming together. So I thought, let's just we're going to do a full reading, but we're going to do it as a collective. I'm excited for this reading. I just have a feeling it's going to give us some beautiful messages. Yeah, let me grab my Moldavite. I forgot. Um, and I'm going to use 3 different decks plus some extras. We will use the clarifying love situations, the romance angels, of course. I'm going to use the crystal vision to clarify. We got the moon. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. We're going to use the Universal Chariot for our main spread. And we are going to use the the major arcanas to begin the reading. And we're really using them to give us some bullet points of really what the reading is going to be about. I have to tell you, many of you probably already know this. I have a feeling we're going to get the Emperor and the Empress, who are the divine masculine and the divine feminine's energy. So we'll see, but I just have this feeling. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up this reading. There we go. And again, this is, I say twin flames, but it can be soulmates also. Um, in the past life reading I just did, I think I did it after the twin flames. Um, we had both. We had soulmates and twin flames in the previous life that is also in this lifetime. So I'm saying twin flames, but I am leaving it open to soulmates also. But let's go ahead and begin. I'm excited. And the reason why I'm excited is because my guides are making me feel excited. Like, get excited, Sandy. All right, look what showed up anyway, the moon. Like, you should have just kept me out. Actually, it was a different deck, though. So, interesting. The moon um, can certainly speak about uncertainties. It is very dreamy energy. I have a feeling for some of you, this is like a telepathic connection. Like, I feel that you connect to each other's souls when you're in sleeping mode. Some of you already know that. They may appear faceless, especially if this is the beginning of this adventure. It can be difficult. Let's not lie. I am in a twin flame relationship, so um, twin flames hold a mirror up to each other. But again, this can be very dreamy energy. It is a card of Pisces, ruler of Cancer. We have the full moon coming in Capricorn very soon. Is that right? Capricorn. All right, but I don't feel like it's talking about the full moon. Interesting. I feel like something flipped around. It must have flipped itself back around. We have interesting double Cancer on the board. We are in Cancer's energy. So that 7-7 portal. I feel what we're receiving so far, it feels good. The Chariot is the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, of the light and the shadow. The Chariot comes in when it knows that it's unlimited potential, or I should say, when you realize that it's unlimited potential, your intentions are what tells the chariot where to go, not the reins of the horse. Like my intentions, and let's face it, the more optimistic I can be, the more I expect good things to happen, the more they do. And it can be the reverse also. But I also feel the chariot doesn't show unless there is balance. Interesting, we're getting a lot of Cancer energy. And I happen to love that because we're in Cancer's energy right now. Temperance, divine timing. So Temperance's first message is patience. And I have a feeling many of you have had patience. But it is about trusting in divine timing. She's mixing those loving waters of the two cups. And to me, the two cups are the twin flames or the soulmates. And it's really about their divine time. Just real quick, when Sam and I met, we were teenagers. We dated for about a year. And it's interesting, he said that he loved me, and I couldn't say it back. Not that I didn't love him, I did. I think I loved him the moment I met him. Um, it was just how I was raised. I had a hard time saying that. Boy, I learned that lesson. Now I say it all the time. But he broke up with me, that teenager, Sam. And we went our separate ways, lived our separate lives. And then 40 years after the fact, I was living in a different state in Rhode Island, and he was in Pennsylvania, and my phone rang. And many of you know this story, but for those who don't, I want to just explain how unexpected this can be. Because the day, or I should say the evening that Sam called, I was feeling a little lonely that day, and I'm a Virgo sun. It takes a lot for me to feel lonely. Like, I can fulfill my time, no problem, with my creativity. You know what I mean? Like listening to music. But that day, and I had just broken up with someone that I had been with for 25 years. Now, also being a Virgo, my morals are, very high. Sometimes I'm like why can't I be like the rest of the people? But anyway, so if Sam would have called me 2 weeks earlier, I would have been excited, but I wouldn't have cheated. So the fact that I was single, that I had just left, only 2 weeks in, and I actually that night was picking up the phone. Actually, I picked up the phone, called my ex, and I was going to invite him over. And then as we were speaking, my phone beeped and my call waiting, and on the other line was Sam. And he started to sing me our song from back when we were teenagers, which is Night Moves by Bob Seger. So the reason why I'm telling this story, I know some must be so sick of it. And it's not that, um, it's not that I'm bragging or anything like that. It's just, I want you to believe in the unexpected. A lot of people say, well, it's not going to happen for me. I wasn't even thinking about Sam at the time. Now, Sam had always been in my heart, but I wasn't thinking about him. Um, but it just happened. It happened. And someone asked me to ask him, one of you asked me to ask him, like, what made him pick up the phone and call that day. And he said that God put me in his heart. So he said he was following divine guidance. I accept that. Of course, I accept that. So, anyways, long story short, that's what temperance is about. Believe in the unexpected, believe in divine timing. That's what she wants you to do. She is mirroring the moon, so even if there may be some uncertainties right now, it just feels like with the chariot then following, um, real potential movement. And the chariot does represent this love as unlimited. Like, what do I mean by unlimited? Like, we could spend the rest of our lives together. We are spending eternity together. But in this lifetime, in this human form. So, I think this is a great sign. All right, let's bring in the universal tarot. And everything is always pre-shuffled, by the way. I just like to give it a shuffle with you here also. Give them a cut. I just scratched my table. All right. Oh my God. Hello, Empress. Hello, Divine Feminine. You know what else is interesting? I literally just got done doing a podcast on the meaning of the Empress. How interesting. I mean, I literally just got done with it. And it's one of the reasons I decided to do this reading in this way. So here's our Empress: loving, nurturing, creative, powerful, a lot of wisdom. But this wisdom comes from her experiences. She's attached to Venus, planet of love. Let's keep going. I feel many of you are the Empress. And the reason I feel that is I spoke about this in another podcast, where I was just wanted to point out to you the growth that I've seen in a lot of your lives, just by like the readings that when I first started on YouTube, um, we used to get the Eight of Swords, the Nine of Swords, the Ten of Swords. I mean, the difficult cards all the time. And now I'm seeing them less and less and less. So many of you have claimed your power or reclaimed your power. The Empress is a reminder, though, not to shut down your heart. Not if you want this. If you don't want it, then it's up to you. Like, it's always up to you. That's free will. But that doesn't mean divine's going to stop working in your life. Divine may say, all right, well, they didn't really take that sign, so let's send another sign. Well, how about the Ace of Swords? Wow. Truth. This is my yes card. This potentially is communication. Sitting right next to the Empress. The Empress knows who she is. She's not perfect, and she knows that, but nobody is. But she does live in a higher vibrational energy. And, it really took her years to reach that vibration. Hmm. All right, let's keep going. Wow. Did I not tell you this reading was going to be interesting, exciting? Hello, Ace of Cups. Right next to the Ace of Swords. Unconditional love, lifetime after lifetime, for eternity. And then we have the Four of Cups. So the Four of Cups speaks about discontentment or boredom, but normally in one's emotional life, I could have my work life, my family life, I could have all that together. But maybe the one area I feel like I'm lacking is, well, probably love, because this really is a love reading. The meaning of this card is about learning to use your spiritual discernment, because there's a cup coming in. This person's not looking, but they'll feel it. They'll feel it. And here is the cup. So, discontentment and boredom within my emotional world, within love. And then here comes this cup, and the cup is already out. By the way, look at this. 11111. When I see 1111, first of all, I always make a wish. Um, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I do think about twin flames too, especially in readings. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hello, Emperor. And look who's mirroring each other, the Emperor and the Empress. So when Temperance is saying, please, my dear, trust in divine timing. Oh my God. And what is right in the middle? The Ace of Cups, representing also by the Chariot, unlimited potential. The Emperor is looking right back at the Four of Cups. So I have a feeling, I don't know why, the Empress is looking at me, and I get the sense that she's pretty fulfilled. I feel like it's the Emperor. Now, I feel like they both probably want this Ace of Cups, but I'm not sure if the Empress is really even thinking about it, but the Emperor is, because that's right where his attention is at. And this big pentacle he's holding, I feel like that's talking about these two coming into each other's physical world. Amazing. Like, thank you, guides. I'm going to slide this over just a little bit. I mean, all right, let's take what else is out. But I hope you noticed that the only, out of the cards that came out, the only one that was face up was the Emperor. He wants to mirror the Empress. And that's exactly what twin flames do. They mirror each other. Okay, let's see what else we have. We have Five of Pentacles under the Empress. We have, interesting, the Five of Wands. Two fives back to back. Neither one of them very easy energy. It's like we get both beautiful things here. We have the Eight of Wands. Wow, what I think about, I bring about. Like the law of attraction. Coming under the Ace of Cups is also fast moving energy, but it's wands. So that means to me that you don't have to put fear behind this. Some of you, I feel like subconsciously, you're manifesting each other. 8, the number of infinity, as above, so below. No beginning, no end. 8, a new beginning. We have the Page of Cups. I was going to call him my fool, just the way he's dressed, but it's not. It's the Page of Cups. We have the Queen of Wands. We have the Two of Swords, which I'm going to put down here. And then, hello, Knight of Wands. Now, this knight is coming into the reading, just like the Emperor is into the reading. The Empress is already here. So, when I see a knight, the first thing I think of is a king or a queen sent this knight. This knight talks about passion, inspiration, sensuality. It's also a fast moving energy. Two very fast moving energies. Someone may want to slow it down with the Two of Swords there. And I feel like I know why. I feel like the Five of Pentacles, which kind of feels like a tower moment, it's when something happens like outside of your control. There's really nothing you can do about it except keep moving. Because I feel like the person, who goes through the Five of Pentacles, where you're really moving towards is soul, like soul-like energy, or not soul-like, like-minded energy, and probably soul-connected. And then you have the Five of Wands, which to me is ego, fighting, um, sometimes it could be narcissistic type energy. And here's the thing, something may have happened. The Empress may have been in a prior relationship, because I feel like it's the Empress who has the Two of Swords, where I feel like it's the Emperor who's bringing in this passion. So I feel like it's going to be up to the Empress to say yes or no. Now, I don't feel like the Empress has hung on to this old energy, because that's one of the beauties of being the Empress. You can like break it down, figure it out, understand that, especially like in the Five of Wands where it's drama filled. But then, maybe you decide enough is enough. I feel like don't get involved in the drama because it'll just pull you in. And I don't feel like the Empress, well, she may have for a little while. Let's remember, we grow into the Empress's energy. So she had to learn how to keep her heart open, stay loving and nurturing, even after the fact. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Emperor had gone through similar situations. You often find that in twin flame relationships. So, even though, and by the way, these spies would be energy has already happened, or some of you may be going through it right now. But here's the thing, in the Five of Pentacles, that again can sometimes feel like a tower. I have to tell you, the day will come where you will be so thankful. You'll be thankful that you separated yourself from the drama and drama filled people. And just with the Ace of Cups right in the middle of the reading, connected to the Ace of Wands, which has brand new growth on every wand, by the way. New growth. It's interesting because I feel like the Page of Cups is talking about one's inner child. And I feel like there was some time that was needed, or some time that probably already happened, where I had to really learn to love myself again. Some of you could have been through some very difficult love relationships. And, when you do reach the Empress's energy, you learn not to judge the person next by the person that was before you. Think of your own energy also. Like if your vibration is high, then that's what must come back to you. That is the law of attraction. And we have the law of attraction right here, which is connected again to this unconditional love. See who's on the bottom of the deck. Hello, Chariot again. I mean, can we dare say Cancer's energy? Or with two chariots, it may be certainly talking about the Emperor and the Empress. Both of them have found that balance. That means they could have left previous relationships. They're really both at the top of their game. It doesn't mean that there's not more to accomplish. And maybe they've both been doing that, like building up their finances, building up their career. And, love's taken a back seat. But love doesn't want to take a back seat anymore. That's clear. I'm going to look under the Chariot, the Nine of Cups, inner harmony and fulfillment of wishes. Connected to the Chariot, someone may have recently became single. And that might be what they're communicating. Or you're communicating. We have the Queen of Wands under the Emperor, and I have to tell you what I feel like this is. I feel like it's the younger version of the Empress. I feel like the Emperor just has never forgotten about the Empress. But listen, they don't call each other the Emperor and the Empress. It reminds me of, again, like Sam and I coming together and me totally not expecting it. Um, but we had to learn to get to know each other as adults. Also feel this queen is very intuitive. Okay, let's bring in the Gilded Tarot. Like, wow. That's another thing with the 7-7 portal is your intuition. I know mine. Like, I know the readings are just coming out so clear and so fast. Like, we don't have to dig and dig and dig. It's coming out. It's showing us. This is about a new beginning in love. It is mirroring the Emperor and the Empress. I could not have asked for more. I mean, yeah, maybe I could have asked that these two fives didn't show up, but then it wouldn't be real life. The Four of Cups, I feel like that may be what got the Emperor. like in action, because I feel like it's the Emperor who's taken action here, may reach out and communicate. Some of you may already know them in this lifetime. I know you already know them, but you may know them in this lifetime also. Because again, I get this sense for some, and that's not for everyone, but I do get the sense for some. Um, and who knows, maybe these two fives belong to these two way back in the day. But we're not back in the day anymore. That's the thing. Both the Emperor and the Empress live in the present moment. They do trust in divine timing. They really do. They know when the time is right, the time is right. You know, another way of saying that is, let's just say the Empress was still dealing with the Five of Pentacles, the Five of Wands. Wow, that's a lot to deal with. And then the Emperor comes in. I still feel like she would go that way, but I feel like why add in the extra stress? Like that's what Temperance is saying. Because following these fives, remember, fives are about change, and then you have a new beginning. All right, we're going to give them a quick shuffle. Let's give them a cut. You know, when I'm doing readings like this and just how beautiful it came out, I'm always thinking to myself, how can I make a title so that you can understand what's in this reading? You know, it only has so many words that I can use, or that you're allowed to use. Maybe that's a good thing. Otherwise, I might write a paragraph. All right. Crystal vision. The tower. Now, don't freak out because I feel like this is good news. This tower is what has eliminated the fives below the Empress. So, you know, the tower, it's disruption, but I often feel it's the ending. And it may not have ended well, but the Empress isn't taking that on. And again, it may have taken her time. You know, we need whatever time we need to heal. And I feel like the only way to truly overcome is to truly understand, you know, and that's not to put the blame on you. It's to ask yourself, like breaking down these fives in a way of like, okay, what was it trying to teach me? Maybe part of it was not to get caught up in other people's dramas. You know, in the Five of Wands, nobody backs down. Nobody's going to apologize. So be it. Because that day will come when the Empress really won't care. I already feel, yeah, I shouldn't say she won't care. But I do feel like the Empress has already extracted the wisdom of those experiences. So it's interesting when I saw the Nine of Cups, singular energy, but it is about fulfillment of wishes. And I could see the Empress like moving away from drama and feeling centered and whole again. Hello, magician, the manifester, over the Ace of Swords. Remember when I said I felt like some of you are subconsciously connected, maybe telepathically? Some of you don't have a face, to put with the person, well, you'll know. A lot of you already do have that. Know who it is, though. So, by the way, another one. One, 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 one. 6 ones. The Magician is a great reminder that you have all the tools that you need to be successful, not only in this journey, but on any journey, especially sitting as the Empress or the Emperor. It's like, it's exactly the energy I would expect to see from these two, right? The ability to manifest. But maybe some of you are feeling it like more and more, like it's coming closer and closer. This is one powerful reading so far. Maybe I'm the only one who's feeling that, but I feel it. We have the Six of Pentacles over the Ace of Cups. Well, I have to say, I feel like both of them live in the Six of Pentacles energy. Six of Pentacles is all about your empathy and your compassion. It's that fine art of give and take. The Empress may have realized down here that, I was the giver and someone else was the taker. And the Emperor may have gone through the exactly same energy. Both of them are really considered leaders, or you have these leadership abilities. And it is because of your experiences. Sure, some of it can be like book smarts, but honestly, I feel it's more about the things that you've gone through and how you have evolved. It's like don't shut down that empathetic and compassionate part of yourself. You just want to know who to give to and who not to give to. These two fives I may have given and given. Chances are I wasn't getting back. Not that that's why I give, but you do deserve it when it relates to love, right? It needs to be equal. And I don't feel like either one of them have a problem helping other people. Matter of fact, I feel like that's really what brings them joy. Now, imagine them together. Imagine them together with the Ace of Cups right in the middle. They don't have to do anything in the world if they don't want to, but just their energy alone, other people are going to read it, feel it, and aspire to be it. How did you get there? Well, let me tell you. That's what a leader does. Doesn't have to mean that it's what I do for a living, though I have a feeling a lot of you do. Let me share my wisdom that I gained through my experiences. See if I can help you. That's what the Emperor or the Empress would say. Any doubt about destiny? So the Emperor's not looking for this cup that's coming in, and it's literally here. And I feel like the Emperor's not looking for just any old love. Like, not just any old person will do. I want my destined love. So this is telling me, well, number one, that you're destined to be together, especially because it's coming under temperance. It's like temperance is saying, you sit upon each other's wheel. And you can certainly put that energy out there, right? Manifest. But understand that where you're manifesting from, either the Empress's energy or the Emperor. So that means these thighs have been cleared. Anyway, and the wheel sits upon a lotus flower. What they say about a lotus flower at night, it goes below water. And then every morning with the sunlight, it rises again. There's much more to it. Something made me bring it up. Oh, and then the Hierophant. So, heart of Taurus. This is about belief, faith, hope, morals. It is a 5. So I feel like this is all the areas I've been questioning. Am I living life according to my beliefs? Do I believe in a higher vibrational love? I know the Emperor does because the Emperor is the one who's initiating it. But he's initiating it through divine timing. That means trusting in divine. And it doesn't mean, well, let me just put it this way. I feel like just what I said about Sam, how God put it in his heart. That's kind of now what I feel with the Emperor. Look at that, the Hierophant right over it. It's all about your belief system, your faith, your hope. We have, oh my gosh, beautiful, the Three of Pentacles. I'll tell you why. I think that's beautiful in a second. Look at that, the Ten of Swords coming over these two fives. That now equals the 10. Ten of Swords is literally taking dagger after dagger in your back. But I feel like if I'm in the Emperor's or the Emperor's energy, whichever one, then I've had to have cleared this. Because this feels like it wants to start moving forward. And this is the past. I get a feeling there was someone in your life who just didn't appreciate you for who you truly are. Maybe they didn't recognize that. Maybe they weren't meant to. Why? Well, because otherwise, maybe this energy, because I feel like both must be single or on their way. And I don't feel like the Empress would be our first card if we were still dealing with someone putting daggers in our back. If we are still dealing with that, well, this is kind of telling you, you know. But anyway, so what I was saying is in the Three of Pentacles, why I love it so much in a love reading, it's about each's individuality. And it's about each admiring each other for exactly who they are. Now, again, it doesn't mean they're perfect, but they see and feel each other's soul. It's that knowing without knowing that we're soul connected. Now, some of you may already know that, but for some, it's like, because you may not, this may be very unexpected, but still, you'll know that. And by the way, in the Three of Pentacles, there's someone admiring you from afar, even though they're not really that far away. But I don't feel like I know that in this energy. it almost makes me feel like it's the Emperor who has been thinking about you, but just hasn't approached you at this point. Maybe the Empress was still connected to another or still in a difficult situation where I feel like the only reason why the Emperor wouldn't come in and help if he or she could, I feel it's more about knowing, especially if we believe in twin flames, then we better believe in spiritual energy. And we have to believe in divine timing. And I feel like this is what the Emperor is trusting, divine timing. But that doesn't mean I haven't always known who you are. I will always admire you, lifetime after lifetime. But this is both ways. 33, by the way. We have the Hangman. Slow down, you move too fast. And then we have, interesting, the Unknown card, which is really the High Priestess. It's kind of like the moon. Like if you see like her, what do you call that? I was going to call it a globe. Her crystal ball is clouded. So I can only see as far, as the moonlight allows me to see. Maybe it is talking about the full moon. But I don't feel like that should scare you because here's the real um truth of it. You're writing this chapter as you go. It's interesting when I did the podcast on the meaning of the Empress, I talked about that. Planting seeds, you know, always planting seeds. And if I can do it from an optimistic view, I expect good things to happen, and they do. I expect good things to happen, and they do. The Hangman is a pause in the action. So I do feel like maybe the Empress is closer to this hard energy, not closer to it, but what do I want to say? Okay. I feel like the Empress, even though she trusts herself, she trusts her intuition, all of that. She's also in no rush. And I feel like even though I may feel immediately something so special about you, it doesn't mean that I'm just naturally going to move into it. And I feel like that's what the Empress is saying. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying give me time to think about it. And the Emperor would give her that time. But he wouldn't disconnect. Not if he's truly ready for this connection. All right, let's keep going. It's interesting the unknown card's coming under the wheel, your destiny. So again, it's a reminder of how important it is to know that you are the writer of your story. The magician, that's the energy you get to use, right? To manifest. What type of life do you want to live? Well, let's start seed by seed, manifesting that life. Interesting. 5 of Wands under the Emperor. I don't feel like this Emperor and this 5 of Wands is connected to this 5 of Wands. I feel like, especially because, what's interesting? I just realized the Empress has 2 5s connected to her. Now the Emperor has 2 5s connected to him. The synchronicities. And honestly, I feel like the emperor had to learn how to be the emperor, the leader of the people. Maybe he had to learn how to calm down his own energy. Okay. Actually, I think it's the other way around. I think he dealt with someone who, just like the Empress dealt with someone. Because as soon as I said he had to learn to calm his energy, I hear no. It's like the Empress. So each one of them dealt with someone who had a lot of ego. Me. No wonder the Six of Pentacles is right in the middle over the Ace of Cups. Right? That fine art of give and take. Feels like both similar situations where they gave but didn't receive. And even though that's difficult, I have to say, without that and learning from that, because that's become a big part of your wisdom, and then clearing it, letting it go. And if you have a hard time letting it go, what I want you to keep in the back of your mind is this is about admiration. This is about you being able to be you, no excuse, and them being able to be them. I'm sure the admiration will go both ways. I don't know why I feel like the Empress doesn't have a clue yet, where I feel like the Emperor is ready to take action. I said she doesn't have a clue. She probably feels it, just with the synchronicities on the table. All right, let's look at the Two Swords and the Knight of Wands. Out comes the King of Wands. Interesting. So we have the Queen of Wands. Now we have the King of Wands. Well, let's take one more with that because we have two cards. When I think of the King or Queen of Wands, I think of two people in action, two people who move according to their intuition. They're not fear-based. It doesn't mean that they never had anything to be fearful of. But they are not. They don't make their decisions based on fear. Let's put it that way. Or maybe what I should say is even if there is a little fear, they don't allow that fear to stop them from moving forward. But I also feel like the Empress has every right to say, let's take it slow. Almost like I want you to reveal to me. And I feel like this is without her saying it to him. I want you to reveal to me who you truly are. Though she knows. She could be busy. She probably is busy. But hello, sun. The illuminator. Brand new day. Warmth at your back. Sitting right next to the King of Wands. Some of you, Leo. This is Leo's ruler. And by the way, The sun is masculine, the moon, feminine, feminine, masculine. I feel like the sun comes out to ease any worry because truly anything done in the dark when the sun is out will come to the light. And that may be why the Empress is like, well, let's just slow down. But he carries the light. So I'm not even worried. The sun to me is like feeling like a kid again, unencumbered. And as this comes together, I hope that's what it becomes for you, unencumbered, feeling this love fully. I'm not going to say that means it's going to be issue free, but I think the Emperor and the Empress can pretty much deal with anything. And I love them collaborating together, which is another thing with the Three of Pentacles. It's like the Empress is doing her thing, but there's no reason why the Emperor can't join her. I mean, that's really up to the Empress. But I call them my power couple in love, but also in money. Why? Because they're so like minded. They have very similar goals. They definitely have similar morals. That's probably why I told you the story of Sam and I, and how if he would have called 2 weeks earlier, I would have told him no. My morals. My dang morals. And I know some are going to be like, well, don't. It's a good thing to have high morals. It is a good thing. It's the only thing is the people before, their morals weren't quite as high. But anyways, sun's a great omen here. And representing the masculine and the feminine. And the sun is coming over the Knight of Wands. Passion coming in. I feel like the hangman, I feel like the Empress really sent out the hangman. And she may have every intention of taking it slow. But I almost feel like it's going to be impossible. You know, the only thing I worry about when I do a reading that just is so clear is I know it's not for everyone. And I don't want to give anyone false hopes. But it doesn't mean that you can't reach this same type of love. You have to think about, okay, what has the Empress gone through? What has she overcome? How has she gained that I need to be in that energy, like attracting like, the law of attraction. All right. I feel like I don't even need to clarify any more there. So let's bring out the clarifying love situations. I wanted to do this reading on the 7-7 portal, but I had some personal readings that I had to get done that day, and it just didn't leave me any extra time. And then I forgot about the 7-7 portal, and then it was put in front of me this morning again. So I knew maybe this was the day I was supposed to do it. All right, interesting. Normally you read these by whichever way they come out, but they're all sideways. So I'm going to read both sides. So one side we have flickering passion, feelings come and go, or the chemistry is not there. Temporal bonds. In the realms of flighty bonds, true connections waver, but endure. Interesting. Okay. Entangled. It's like we're reading previous life, or not previous life, but previous time, current time. Entangled. Establish and communicate your own boundaries. Kind of feel like that's what the Empress is doing with the Hangman. Bound by demands, stifled by expectations. It's time to redefine limits and reclaim freedom. It's exactly what's happening in the Nine of Cups. Then look at that, the Knight of Swords underneath that. And then wishful thinking, having lofty ideas leads to letdown. Be realistic. I don't know if I agree with that. Okay, and then last but not least, achievable insights. Embrace practical steps towards clarity, bringing your goals within reach. Okay, and last but not least, let's bring out the romance angels. Part of me thinks, why? We already know, we see the Ace of Cups, right? And it's right in the middle for both the Emperor and the Empress. But maybe there's something else we need to know. The wheel is here, connected directly to temperance, divine timing. These thighs that ended up turning into a 10. I get it. Like, that would not be divine timing. And maybe there were lessons, you know, um, that divine didn't really want the other one to come in and really have to make them repeat that lesson. So it could have been karmic. All right, romance angels. Getting to know you, getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. I think what really happens is you start to have this recognition. And then look at this, calling in your soulmate. Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. Help bring you together. Calling in your soulmate. It's working. It's working. And I'm going to let that be. You know, I don't know how it could get any better. I feel like if it didn't have some hardships, then it wouldn't be real life. This is about really what each has overcome and what they've learned from it. Really, that's the important aspect of it. It's like what they have learned and how that has helped them to evolve. And by the way, it's just natural as your energy evolves that those who are not willing to evolve kind of fade away. Let it be. Let it be. Don't try to pull it back in. Even with the twin flames, you know, if let's say you're in a twin flame relationship and there are runners and chasers and separation, and I do feel like that's part of it. I feel like I am the runner. um I have a tendency to just pick up and go. But I wouldn't do that to Sam. But I have done that in my life. But what am I trying to say here? I don't know. I just feel like Everything has taught both twin flames so much, and they have broken down their lives and looked at it from a viewpoint of what has these experiences, especially the hard ones, what have they taught me? I would not be the person I am today without them. I feel like the masculine is tired of lower vibrational energy and people. I get the feeling the Empress is just living her life, creating. And even though she may have an inkling, the love is coming towards her. I feel like it's the Emperor who is really in action. And he's looking right over at the Empress. He's looking right at her. I can't believe they came out mirroring each other. That's exactly what twin flames do. All right, I'm gonna let this be. I just loved it. I loved it. I love it for you. I love it for all of us on this twin flame journey. Um, Heart to heart conversations. I have a feeling the very first conversation, even if I don't put a name to it, and you don't have to put a name, I don't have to say, like, Sam's my twin flame. He's just my love, the love of my life. You know what I mean? But he is a twin flame. But you don't have to, like, put a title to it. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking. Um, I loved it. I love you guys. I thank our guides for really this divine reading. And I just know I was meant to do it today. For whatever reason, today's the day. So I thank you all. I love you. I'll see you next time at our table. Bye bye.